Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Today we are doing a deep dive into what might be the single most important habit for business efficiency and really for personal growth too. Designing and implementing a robust, actionable goal tracking system. I mean, for every professional out there trying to cut through the complexity of their daily work, the analysis we've pulled together today offers a bit of a strategic shortcut.
Exactly. Our mission here is to show you how to structure your efforts so that, big ambition stops feeling so overwhelming.
And starts becoming a series of clear, measurable steps.
That's it. This is all about sustained high motivation without hitting that wall of burnout.
So let's unpack this. Why has goal tracking suddenly moved from being a kind of corporate formality to an essential strategic tool right now, especially with the pace of change we're seeing?
What the research we studied really highlights is that the current business landscape, it ruthlessly punishes complacency.
And delayed feedback.
And delayed feedback. More importantly, yes. Historically, you might set a goal and check it, quarterly. But now, costly surprises happen when you operate on assumptions for too long.
So you're talking about like building a feature based on a hunch that users actually didn't want, or missing a critical shift in the market.
Precisely. Those kinds of assumptions lead to wasted time, wasted resources, and some serious strategic debt down the line.
So goal tracking is the antidote to that.
It replaces those costly surprises with frequent, small course corrections. Clear, measurable feedback loops turn those gut feelings into useful, reactive information, which lets you pivot quickly. The material shows us how to bake that responsive feedback right into our daily and weekly operations. It's a mechanism for continuous risk mitigation.
That idea of immediate feedback, that brings us right to the strategic imperative of measurement. If speed is the new currency, why does tracking goals daily or even weekly matter so much more now?
It's all about spotting what we call divergence.
Divergence.
That's the moment your performance starts drifting away from the original plan. If you catch that divergence early, you have fuel for these immediate feedback loops that let you change the strategy, not just the effort. If you wait, well, the divergence can become insurmountable.
And we have a really concrete, high-stakes example of this in the source analysis. The Disney Plus subscriber goal.
Oh yeah, the one from 2020. They targeted a massive range, 215 to 245 million subscribers by October 2024. A huge public ambition.
And where did they land?
Significantly below the low end of that target, they hit 153.8 million. That gap between expectation and reality, it just illustrates the pain point perfectly. Imagine the investment that went into content and marketing based on those higher projections.
That gap must have cost a fortune. So if they'd had a more robust routine measurement system in place, what could they have done differently?
Well, they could have spotted much earlier where the strategy was breaking down. Was it the price point?
Or friction in the sign-up process.
Exactly. Or maybe the content catalog was failing to retain users after that initial, honeymoon period.
Yeah.
Routine measurement turns a missed target into a specific, testable clue. It's a signal that your assumption about pricing or content needs immediate correction. You stop guessing and you start testing.
And when you embed a system like that, the benefits just start to compound across the whole organization, right? The first big win, which our sources really emphasize, is clarity and focus.
Absolutely. When every team member can see the same direction, the same targets, the organizational cognitive load just drops. Instantly, teams stop debating priorities because the scorecard makes it clear.
Which reduces wasted overlap and speeds up decision-making.
It also fundamentally changes the nature of accountability. It stops being about finger-pointing and it starts being about ownership.
Okay, but I wonder, if you make everything visible, the targets, the scorecards, the progress, how do you make sure that doesn't just slide into uncomfortable micromanagement?
That's a crucial distinction. And the source material suggests accountability is only healthy when it's tied to clearly documented owners and frequent, short check-ins.
So one person per metric.
One person who controls the lever, yes. Then the visibility becomes a tool for empowerment, not for scrutiny. You see the progress, the owner tells you what the roadblock is, and the rest of the team helps remove it. It's transparency aimed at maintaining momentum.
I see. So the visibility is meant to shine a light on the roadblocks, not just on the people.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at high growth areas like product-led growth, they rely entirely on this. They use these systems to spot friction points in the user journey.
So they're measuring things like sign-up, activation, adoption.
Right, which allows them to pinpoint Where are users stalling? Is it feature discovery? Is it the upgrade path? Measurement becomes this active mechanism to remove blockers and, accelerate conversion.
So measurement drives targeted action. But none of this proactive correction works if the goal itself is fuzzy to begin with. This brings us to the next stage, actually defining success and implementing the system.
Right. The foundational step is turning those vague intentions into a clear plan you can actually measure and run with. You need exact numbers and exact dates. This is why the SMART framework, remains the gold standard.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
That's the one. It helps turn a goal like, we need to improve customer experience, which we've all heard.
And which is totally unactionable.
Exactly. It turns that into something like, increase our onboarding completion rate by 20% next quarter, or reduce monthly churn by 15% through better proactive support within the next 6 months. These are goals you can actually design a test against.
And once that SMART goal is defined, we have to talk about tackling the overwhelm of a huge ambition. You have to break it down, right?
Yeah.
But how do professionals do that without creating a massive, confusing project file?
It's all about creating a hierarchy. You break the large goals into small, bite-sized tasks and milestones, each with a realistic deadline and, this is critical, documented dependencies.
Meaning, if task B can't start until task A is done, you have to note that somewhere.
You have to. This decomposition allows for agile adjustments. You're not waiting 6 months to realize you're stuck waiting on a resource you forgot to request.
And to track all of this,
Yeah.
all these moving pieces, we need a system. The market is just flooded with options.
Yeah.
What's the philosophy on choosing the right tools?
The primary takeaway from the material is to start with the simplest tool that people will actually use. Don't let tool complexity become the job itself. For brainstorming or personal tracking, analog methods or, lightweight tools like Sheets or Docs are perfectly fine.
And what about for teams? What's the priority there?
Visibility and low friction. Look for collaboration platforms that allow for fast task assignment and real-time updates. But the core rule, no matter what you're using, is to centralize your information. One single source of truth for goals, tasks, notes, and progress. It eliminates context switching and just reduces that cognitive load dramatically.
That makes a ton of sense. Okay, now let's get to where the rubber meets the road. The essential features of a strong system. What's the infrastructure that provides those reliable signals for decision-making?
Right, so we need systems that capture the process, not just the outcome. This is why event tracking is basically non-negotiable. Many people track outcomes like, did the user buy the product? But event tracking records the user interactions that lead to that outcome.
Can you clarify that? What exactly is an event here, and why is that better than just tracking the final sale?
So an outcome is user converted, an event is user clicked the demo button, or user completed step 2 of the setup wizard. You track those micro events and tie them to funnel stages, sign up, activation, adoption.
So you can map the entire user story.
You can see where they get stuck. You can see which specific button click or lack thereof is causing the friction. You're diagnosing the health of the journey, not just waiting at the destination.
That clarity is vital. And once you have all that rich event data flowing in, you need to visualize it. This leads to customizable dashboards. But they can so easily become these overwhelming data swamps.
They absolutely can. The key is they must surface only a few meaningful KPIs. If you present 50 metrics, you present 0. A good visual tracker should let teams spot trends and gaps instantly through simple charts, color coding, and checklists. The goal is signal, not noise.
We also hear a lot about the need for automation and integration in these systems.
That's the engine room. The system has to support automated reporting to keep stakeholders aligned without manual work. That saves hours of aggregation time. And crucially, it needs strong integration capabilities with your CRM, your analytics tools, your financial software.
Because the data isn't unified and trustworthy, the team will just stop trusting the system.
And the whole thing collapses.
So we have the goals set, the data flowing, the visualizations are clear. How do we now use that data for that strategic course correction? This is the heart of the rapid feedback loop we talked about earlier.
The process has to be structured and, honestly, ruthlessly efficient. Pull the data, review the results, and assign actions. The key is to make the reviews extremely short and scheduled. The source suggests aiming for, 15-minute weekly reviews.
15 minutes is very short. What do you have to cover in that time for it to be actionable and not just a status report?
You focus on what moved the needle, what didn't, and why. A core ritual mentioned is the stop, start, continue exercise.
Right.
And it has to be tied explicitly to the metric owners. What are we going to stop doing because it isn't working? What will we start doing based on new learnings? And what should we continue doing because it's getting results? This documents the learning and refines the approach based on evidence, not emotion.
And if we zoom out to business strategy, especially for subscription models, where should these goals anchor?
They have to anchor to core financial sustainability metrics. I mean, professionals in any subscription business need to understand that the strategic North Stars are MRR, monthly recurring revenue ARR, churn rate, and lifetime value, or LTV.
So not just technical terms for the finance department.
Not at all. They are the indicators of customer health and future stability.
And why are those four so critical?
They tell a complete story. MRR and ARR show how fast you're growing. Churn rate reveals your ability to retain value, and LTV shows the long-term financial payoff of getting a customer in the first place. You then use OKR's objectives and key results to make sure every feature or marketing campaign is tied numerically and publicly to improving one of those core business outcomes.
And a crucial best practice here. We have to continually tune what we measure.
Absolutely. The research emphasizes auditing your metrics quarterly to ruthlessly remove vanity measures. If a metric makes you feel good but doesn't drive action, it's just wasted bandwidth. It's also vital to define an escalation path for when targets slip to ensure swift action instead of, bureaucratic delay.
This raises an important point. We've talked about the systems and the metrics, but how do we make sure this is a sustained achievement? How does this become a cultural habit, not just a quick sprint?
That brings us to our final section, the practical takeaways. It really comes down to routine and reflection. We're encouraged to schedule brief weekly reviews, not just for the team, but for ourselves personally.
Reflect on the wins, plan small steps for next week.
Exactly. That consistency, that slow accumulation of small wins is what keeps motivation steady.
Building those habits at the individual level is huge. Starting the day with a short plan and ending it with a summary, it's like micro-reviewing your own performance to make sure your busy days are actually translating into purposeful progress.
And we have to reiterate the need for individual accountability and visibility. When you assign a metric to a single owner, that team member knows exactly what lever they manage. Public visibility dashboards, color coding, progress bars, that reinforces personal ownership and it celebrates success, which compounds team momentum far better than any mandatory meeting ever could.
So the critical final action is maybe the simplest, yet most impactful piece of advice we've gathered. And each planning cycle, each meeting, each week, with one clear next step assigned to one person.
That's the fuel rod. That small commitment moves intentions into measurable action. Use simple goal setting, lightweight tools, and celebrate the wins. Learn from the misses. Each cycle refines your approach, builds habits that compound, and delivers that steady, sustainable growth.
That's a really powerful takeaway. What we've seen today is that robust goal tracking, built on smart criteria and backed by these integrated visual systems, it's the essential foundation for a culture of continuous improvement.
It turns those potential costly surprises into opportunities for fast course correction.
Positioning you right at the forefront of modern business efficiency. By focusing on process metrics and those key financial indicators like MRR and LTV, and ensuring visibility and ownership, you create a system that doesn't just track success, it actively engineers it.
Thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast.
If you want to dive even deeper into building this robust system for yourself, and maybe see some of the structured templates we discussed for defining OKRs and tracking events, we highly encourage you to read the full article by Felix Römer.
The link to that comprehensive resource can be found right now in the show notes.
And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more insights on productivity and the future of work. We'll see you on the next deep dive.